Well, this is a little bit awkward. Hi everyone! Welcome back. I know I haven't posted in about a month, maybe? Who's keeping track? I am beyond exhilarated to be back, and I have learned so much in the past month, and I want to share everything that I learned with you guys. So stay tuned, and today we're going to be talking about, drum roll, emotional intelligence. Yay! So I want to start off by telling you guys my definition of emotional intelligence, which is also known as EQ. Very interesting. They called it EQ. Kind of sounds like IQ. Get it? Okay. So my definition of emotional intelligence is being smart with your own emotions and understanding others. So understanding yourself, understanding other people, and understanding your emotions and why you act the way you act. I think that understanding yourself is so vital, especially in a growing world like ours, where more and more people are learning about manipulation and how to manipulate people in certain situations. I find it incredibly scary, actually, that people resort to manipulation as a method of convincing someone something that they don't believe in. Now that you guys are aware of what my definition of emotional intelligence is, I think that it's time I tell you guys just why emotional intelligence is so incredibly important. And the first point for me being that in a job field at home, you are not going to be able to be successful with managing relationships and partners and coworkers if you are unable to regulate your own emotions and control the way you act. Once you're able to control the way you act, you can control the way that you react to certain situations. And your reaction won't be completely blown out of proportion, and it'll just be a very subtle response to something that happened, and you can actually do something about it later privately in your own time. That's something that I think is so beneficial, and every human needs to learn how to do, is control themselves when they're in the situation, and then after the situation, they can act on it as maturely as possible. EQ is made up of 5 main parts, and those 5 main parts are self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Yes, I was looking down at a note I wrote because I didn't want to forget them. Self-awareness was the first one that I brought up, and self-awareness is being able to understand what emotion you're going through. Now, I know a lot of people that say, oh, I'm upset, but what made you upset? Why are you upset? And instead of saying something like, oh, I'm in a bad mood, why are you in a bad mood? What triggered that bad mood? And instead of being so vague and saying bad mood, say something like, I'm anxious, I'm upset because so-and-so did so-and-so. Appreciate and understand your feelings fully, because once you're able to appreciate and understand yourself and your own feelings, you can begin to place yourself in other people's shoes and understand why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. Imagine a world where your boss had zero empathy, did not care for you, didn't care about how you felt, didn't care about whether or not you were super stressed out. They had zero emotions at all. What makes a good boss different from a bad boss? Is it because the good boss is kinder? Is it because the good boss is more caring? Is it because the good boss allows you to go take care of family matters while the bad boss doesn't? And I think that those specific things fall under empathy. And so empathy is my second point that I wanted to talk about. Being empathetic in this generation is seen as something that makes a person weak. And I want to say that being empathetic and being sensitive is not a sign of weakness at all. I think, as a matter of fact, it is a sign of extreme strength and courage to feel in a world where people don't like to feel. In the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale talks about something that stuck out to me big time. He says that when you talk to someone, or when you have even the smallest conversation, be interested in what they have to say. And when I say be interested, I mean be genuinely interested. Like, listen to that person and put your all into listening to them, because people know, and energy is transmitted from one person to another. And if someone feels like you're bored and like you're not listening, they're gonna be like, oh, this person is not the kind of person I want to be around, and they're gonna leave you alone, and they're gonna go and they're gonna say this person is not a good listener, yada yada, and then that's its own thing. But I feel like empathy is putting yourself in another person's shoes, sympathizing with them, but genuinely showing them that you care. Because when someone feels like you care, they feel important. And when they feel important, they're going to remember that feeling, because it's a really good feeling that you get from another person. 3, self-regulation. Do not allow your emotions to control you. Control your own emotions. What does this look like? If you're very angry, for example, you just got out of an argument with your friend, or you just got into an argument with one of your parents or siblings, calm yourself down by leaving the situation. Get out of that situation as soon as possible. Lock yourself in your room, go out, take a walk, and just breathe. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to bring yourself back down to earth when you are super angry. I've noticed that taking a walk whenever you're upset just tends to calm you down so much. I don't know if there's science behind that, but anytime I've taken a walk when I'm upset or sad, I have genuinely felt so much better after. And I think that it's because you're outside and you're bringing yourself back down to earth, and you're like, okay, let me just soak in everything around me. And that in on itself is such a beautiful thing. So being able to control your emotions and not let them get the best of you is a sign of maturity. So being that kind of mature is very admirable, in my opinion. And it's a very strong sign that you're getting ready to grow and that you're accepting emotional intelligence as it is. 4th point is motivation. At some point, motivation turns into discipline, but in terms of emotional intelligence, I think that motivation has to stay as motivation. When I say motivation, I mean you are able to take your emotions and turn them into something positive, something that will benefit you. I notice that anytime I feel dumb or I feel like I am not as intelligent, I will sit down and I'll learn something new and I'll go talk about it to anyone. I know it's like, what are you talking about? But it makes me feel so much smarter knowing that I learned something new that not a lot of people know. For example, I picked up thinking about like neuroplasticity, very important subject. And I also picked up emotional intelligence, and that's why I'm here talking about it today, because I learned about emotional intelligence and I learned just how vital it is to have it in the real world. And here I am sharing it with all of you guys, because knowledge is useless if it is kept in here. It needs to be spread out and given to the world. So motivate yourself. Bring yourself back up after you fall. And no pain, no level of pain is permanent. There is not going to be a single situation that you go through that you are not able to recover from, because that's the power we have as humans. So many people I know have gotten over deaths of their family members, and I find it so beautiful that someone is able to heal from something that is so emotionally heartbreaking. So just having that level of self-understanding and motivation to get back up when things get really bad is a very good quality to have. Last, and definitely not least, is your social skills. Being able to properly manage relationships and being able to emerge as a leader for all and not just a leader for yourself. I have been told by countless people that I am a very dominant individual, meaning that I will assert myself in any group activity that I'm in. And in many cases, that has been a very negative thing. But once I learned to assert myself in a way that makes other people feel heard and seen, so I do this thing called Model spoken about it before. But then and only then, when I began to listen to other people and be a good leader and make other people feel seen, heard, and known, then I started to win so many awards and the respect of so many people. Again, I've gotten countless compliments saying, oh my God, Minna, you're such a good leader, you're such a good speaker. It's because I feel comfortable enough around these people, because they felt comfortable enough around me to share their ideas and be in a moment of vulnerability, speaking in front of a crowd, telling me their ideas. I think that that's something huge in on itself. And for them to be able to articulate that to a group of people is such a beautiful thing. Knowing that so many people can't even sit up and speak in front of an entire crowd, and knowing that one person does it and shares an idea that they had with an entire group of people. Very beautiful thing. And I love seeing people kind of go from being very shy at first to becoming so comfortable with the room that they're in. I just love seeing that level of growth in everyone in MUN. I think another part of social skills that's very important is communication, and I will never stop talking about communication because I was the kind of person not to communicate to anyone else about how I felt, and I realized just how important it is. Communication should never feel like a burden. You should never feel bad for communicating your feelings to someone. And if you do feel bad for communicating your feelings, then maybe you should start to think about who you're hanging around, because more often than not, when you're hanging around the wrong people and you're thinking about the wrong things, you find yourself in a situation where you don't want to talk about your feelings, where you feel like your feelings are going to be neglected. And it is that neglect that is going to make you do things and think things that you don't want to think about at all. This is just a personal feeling, but I think that emotional intelligence protects and helps your mental health. How, you might wonder? Well, if you're in a situation where you're very, very angry, you have two outcomes. You could either act on that anger, or you could hold that anger in and let it out through something better. For example, writing, or singing, or playing the guitar. Something that will transform that angry energy into an energy that is so beautiful for the rest of the world. Or you could let out your anger, you can make everyone around you angry, and you can be seen as the negative person in a room of people who can control themselves. More often than not, we see people that are overreacting get stared at by everyone. And in that moment, everyone is wondering, what is this person doing? Why does this person not have any self-control? And I know that sometimes when I see people being crazy at the store, I'm like, why is this person acting this way? And I realize it's because not everyone has that social intelligence, and this does not go to speak about people that are mentally disabled. I think that they're the exception to honestly anything, because they were literally born with a brain that does not allow them to think like everyone else. So they're the exception. But just because they're the exception does not mean that they are less intelligent than any other one of us, because I know so many people that are autistic and people that have ADHD, people that have just different mental disorders that are just so intelligent, and I love it. They're some of the smartest people that I've ever met, and I just find it so fascinating because people are always making fun of others with disabilities, and I'm like, oh, but this person would absolutely beat you if you were in a debate, or this person would absolutely beat you if you went against them in anything. Like, I find it just so fascinating. Thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know how long this video is. Frankly, I kind of stopped caring about how long the videos are. Just whatever, however long they are. However long. Anyway, I am so glad that I am back, and I'm so glad that I am able to post this. And I just want to tell everyone, have a great day. Say something kind, be kind to everyone around you, and have a great rest of your day, or week, or month. Don't know when I'll see you again, but be safe. Bye.